Surface, Chad Frank, and Tracy Barron. Our method for reducing stereotypes was we created a PowerPoint to present to community members. We used posters as well as Facebook to draw people into our presentation. And we focused on educating people about some key terms and concepts that we wanted to focus on, and they were ableism and traumatic brain injury were the two things we focused on, as well as we also talked about stigma and some other stereotypes and ways of discrimination towards people with ableism. And then towards the end we used Chad's story to help draw them in and get them acquainted with a person who has traumatic brain injury, who had a traumatic brain injury. And he showed some pictures of himself growing up, just to emphasize how he was, a normal person. And that's a picture of him when he was growing up. That was one of the pictures we showed during the presentation. And then we ended with a question and answer session where anyone from the audience could ask Chad questions about his traumatic brain injury experience. And then we also had other people in the audience who had disabilities, and the audience members asked them if they could ask them questions also, so that was a good kind of event. And that's a picture of Chad after the accident, I believe at age physical therapy, yeah. And then I'll turn over to Tracy.
Alright, well, we have an article for our presentation. It's called Dispelling Stereotypes, Promoting Disability Equality Through Film. The article states that the media portrays disabled people as people who should be sympathized, they can't, they're just poor people, can't do anything for themselves. The article showed some films too, group of people, how disabled try to live more of a normal life. And about 200 participants were showed this video, and they took a survey afterwards about what they thought of people. It relates to our study, the article stated that people who have disabilities, they tend to people tend to help them opening doors or getting things for them because they don't think they can do it themselves. In our presentation, like Nathan said, we discussed traumatic brain injury and how it impacted Chad's life and his struggles through getting through school. And he discussed how it changed his life and how he had to adapt to the world as he is now.
All right, and then the results of our presentation. First of all, we had 11 participants show up to our presentation. 2 of them were male, 9 were female. Participant ages ranged from 20 to 76 years old. And when asked via survey after our presentation, most participants indicated the level to which people with TBI can still be a functioning part of society as a 10 on a scale of 1 to 10. And most participants feel as if there needs to be more research on discrimination against individuals with TBI. And most participants perceive frequent discrimination against persons with physical disabilities, and the average score was an 8 out of 10. And then our final question was an open-ended question that asked, what do you think could help reduce stigma and or change attitudes about people with physical disabilities? And then common answers among participants included education, so basically informing the public about the stereotypes and types of discrimination against people with physical disabilities. Getting to know a disabled person as well as volunteering to assist disabled people. Those kind of go hand in hand, so just kind of getting acquainted with somebody who has a physical disability. Targeting children, this was kind of a big one and a significant finding in our study, just because targeting children is actually, according to the research, children learn at a very young age to discriminate, and they learn to, I guess, be prejudiced toward people with physical disabilities. And also, we talked about targeting children in our presentation, so just the very fact that they put it on their surveys kind of showed that they actually learned something from our presentation, which is good. More exposure in the major media, and finally showing love, compassion, and understanding for people with disabilities. And some of the limitations of our study include that, well, it was a small sample size. We only had 11 participants. So it does not generalize to the larger population. Also that it was self-report. We were in the same room as the people when they did fill out their surveys. And also the fact that it was a non-experimental design. The people that came to our presentation, I mean, it was not a random sample, because the people that came to our presentation were already had a prior interest in learning about physical disabilities. Also, the fact that it was a biased sample. Participants either had a disability who showed up, or they were closely associated with somebody who had a disability. For instance, Chad's parents, or his mom was there, his grandma was there, so that was a biased sample. There you go.
Thank you. Okay, so some ideas for future research are, of course, educating your peers and the community, and another way to possibly think about it is showing a reality TV show, because everyone here watches TV. And if you saw a person with a disability live a functional life, that would probably change your idea of them and other people with disabilities. Okay, and then the other major one is targeting policymakers, because who's actually going to change the ideas of people, laws, and other policies that encourage people to do nice things or other things like that. And yeah, and then and the laws are for able-bodied only, because they're not for people with physical disability. So I could, yeah, I don't know, take it for what it's worth. Okay, that is our presentation. And any questions? Okay, there's no questions. That's okay. Someone else, please ask a question.
So, I assume that you guys went into more details with the traumatic brain injury.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It seems like when you talk about it, it seems like a very specific group. But is it? I don't know how prevalent, I guess.
Well, how many people in this room have a concussion, sports concussion? Okay, that's a brain injury right there. See, most people don't realize that. I mean, brain injury is kind of a wide term, but I experienced a traumatic brain injury where I had a trauma to my brain, so yeah. Okay.
Where did you conduct the study at?